Hey, all you commercial engineering folks and construction enthusiasts, welcome to another episode of Engineering Tomorrow. I'm your host, Brian Gomsky. Today, we're speaking with Steve Levine of Atmos Air, your source for healthier, cleaner air and all the benefits that come with it. Steve Levine is president and CEO of Clean Air Group Incorporated, founded in 2004 and headquartered in Fairfield, Connecticut. Clean Air Group is a long-standing leader in solutions for healthier indoor air, with a multi-product portfolio including bipolar ionization, ultraviolet C, HEPA filtration, and needlepoint ionization technologies. Clean Air Group is committed to helping customers of all sizes in all types of indoor environments experience air with an impact. Steve's leadership of Clean Air Group includes the oversight of Atmos Air Solutions and recently acquired Bioclimatic Inc., which are inclusive of the overall portfolio. Currently, Steve is the chairman of the board of directors of Clean Air Group. I hope you all are excited, so sit back, relax, buckle your seatbelt, let's go.
Broadcasting around the world. This is Engineering Tomorrow, the podcast committed to bringing you the best in commercial construction, design, and engineering from the brightest minds in the industry. This is the stuff they don't teach you in school. So sit back, relax, and open your mind. You're about to get the insider knowledge to improve your next construction project or advance your career. This is Engineering Tomorrow.
Today we have Steve Levine from Atmos Air on the show. Steve, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Brian. Hope all is well with you, and thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. Atmos Air is definitely a very interesting product. I'm always fascinated with it and all the installations you guys are doing. It seems like things are going really well. Let's just start out at the very beginning. I guess, what is Atmos Air at a high level?
So Atmos Air is an air purification technology that really pulls out of the air everything you shouldn't be breathing, right? The technology does an excellent job of agglomerating particles and taking particles out of the air, breaks down mold spores, so people that have allergies and asthma really have a much better breathing experience. It breaks down odors and VOCs into carbon dioxide and water vapor, so it smells cleaner and fresher. And at the end of the day, it attacks bacteria, viruses, and germs. And today, that's very important as everybody's trying to go back to work and back to school and back to sports, because we had this pandemic, and everybody knows that if you can attack a virus and actually break it down as one more layer of defense, Atmos Air is a great technology to use.
So, Steve, tell me about the actual equipment itself. It's for, obviously, this is for indoor air quality. Where does this equipment go? What does it look like? How big is it? Walk us through that.
Sure. So the technology comes from Sweden. As you know, we started it out as an air testing company. So we were all about testing air quality in spaces and looking at the 11 different elements of air quality. And this technology, this bipolar ionization technology, actually goes in the supply side of the supply duct after the fan, after the filter, or can actually go in the air handler itself. And the idea is based on the CFM, based upon the airflow and the size of the facility, will actually measure air quality ions in the space, right? So when airflow goes over these bipolar ionization tubes, it's going to create negative and positive ions, and then those ions are going to travel in the duct and sanitizing the duct, and then spilling out into the space where people are. And so these tubes, depending upon the CFM, could be as large as 21 inches long or as small as 2 inches. So it's scalable based upon the type of system you have. And it's a very easy retrofit because you can actually cut a hole in the duct and insert these tubes into the duct. And whether it's a big 100,000 CFM air handler that might need, let's say, 50 tubes, or it's a small 2,000 CFM unit that might only need 1 tube, it's very scalable to be able to provide the proper air quality, indoor air quality in the space. And the idea is to really measure the ion level in the space, making sure that you're getting at least between 500 and 1,500 ions per cubic centimeter within the space. And then we know that's what nature, the kind of ion ranges that we'd like to get. And if we can provide those ranges, we know the system will be highly effective.
Is it true that I've seen this on several different websites? Is it true that Albert Einstein discovered ions? There's like a story about him in the Swiss Alps or something, or is that an old wives' tale?
So it's actually his sister, Einstein's sister, was told that she should go to the mountains to breathe a better air.
Mm-hmm.
And Einstein himself wanted to understand why. And so what he discovered was that there was a natural conductivity at higher elevations. And he actually is famous for this theory of conductivity. And in higher elevations, that conductivity comes from these negative and positive ions. So if you were to take an ion meter to those higher elevations, you would actually see the negative and positive ion readings at those higher elevations. But then if you came down that mountain, into large cities, because of pollution levels and whatnot, the ion content is drastically less. And then when you get into indoor environments, it's even less because of people and computers and carpets and things like this. So the idea of our bipolar ionization tubes is by adding these tubes into the airspace, we're going to build up those ion levels, never making it like a mountaintop, but making it probably 3 to 4 times better than ambient. And that's our goal and objective.
So tell me about some of the results you've had. Were there any, what I like about Atmos Air is you're measuring the indoor air quality. Are you typically seeing pretty big improvements when you install these systems?
Yeah, taking our, how we came to be as an air testing company and meshing that with the air purification technology, Atmos Air, and this bipolar ionization, gives us a great way to validate and verify. So think about, in the old days, we were taking a gray wolf or an air acuity machine, and these are air testing machines that measure these 11 different elements of air quality. And we would get a good baseline. What's the particle range? What are your PM10 particles? What are your PM2.5 particles? What is your total volatile organic compound range? What are your CO2 levels and such? And we would take these 11 different air quality parameters and justify, okay, this is what it is today. And now we would put in our system, and then we would do an after test, and we would show with the ionization process how the particulates have reduced, how the VOCs have reduced, and how we didn't affect any CO2 levels. But, this is an important parameter. And so we had good justification of before and after validating results. And today with sensors, you can do that in real time. And so that's the beauty of where we came from. We've been able to marry our indoor air quality sensors with the air purification and give people real-time data on those same different 11 elements of air quality that are so vitally important today.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the sensors and reading the data. Are those touch screens, or maybe tell us a little bit more about that equipment?
Sure. So we think that the two most powerful ways to measure indoor air quality is either in the space itself or in the return duct. And so was about 4 or 5 years ago, we got a grant from the government in Singapore to develop the first in-duct sensor that can measure all these elements of air quality. And so this sensor goes on the return side of the duct and is backnettable, so it can go into any BMS system. And it's also gives you a dashboard, so people can really see what the air quality is at all levels.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also have a monitor in the space itself, so people can actually see the air quality, and we actually give it a score. You know, what is your grade of air quality inside, and we can compare it to the outside levels as well. And we've even now made an app so people can actually see their air quality in their own personal space on their phone. So what we envision is when people come into a building, you know, to the lobby, they're going to see a split screen on part of that lobby television, right? That split screen is going to show this is the air quality outside,
Mm-hmm.
and then this is the air quality inside with the Atmos Air system. So we can really turn the invisible visible, and we can track and trend data, which is so very important. So in whether it's in the duct or whether it's in the space, we're tracking and trending this indoor air quality data. And the one other unique thing about our induct system is that we can actually connect it to the air purification system, so that, let's just say you're a casino and on
Mm-hmm.
Saturday night there's a lot of guests, and so you know the air quality is going to be that much worse, especially in a smoking casino with a lot of guests. So you're going to need to really throttle up the ionization process on a Saturday night versus a Monday morning. And so the system is actually smart. It can actually throttle up and throttle down, and based on the contaminants, really create the cleanest and healthiest air quality. So we think this is a great differentiator, and it's what people need to know. It's not just about measuring in one point of time your indoor air quality. It's really a 24/7 type of thing, where people really want to be proactive when it comes to indoor air quality.
Mm. So you mentioned casinos, so this is great for I guess the smoke smell reduction. What are some other great applications that this solves in terms of kind of problem areas we see in certain buildings?
Sure. So obviously, the smoke smell and odors is the technology does really well, because you know smoke is both a VOC, a volatile organic compound, and smoke is also has a particulate in there as well, particles. So with the bipolar ionization process, it actually agglomerates those particles, makes them bigger and heavier, so we can filter them out of the air much faster. And it can also break down the VOC, the odor, into CO2 and water vapor to smell cleaner and fresher. So Same type of thing if there are people experiencing in California, for example, forest fires, and that smoke smell where that gets brought into the building because every building has to bring in so much outside air. They're actually pulling in, those type of smells and odors and fumes and whatnot. So the technology that works really well on odors and smoke, but also, works well where people might have allergies and asthma. We do a lot of professional sports teams, and the issues there, the trainers want the athletes to perform optimally, and rather than taking allergy meds and whatnot, this technology, because it takes particulate and spores out of the air really well, people have a much better breathing experience. But I think overall, the big one is, with the whole virus concern, we tested our technology at Microchem's offices and in a real live setting, not in a small setting, but in a live setting where we put between 500 and 1,500 ions per cubic centimeter into the space. This is how we do it normally, and basically tested on coronavirus. It was able to reduce the coronavirus by 99.92% inside of 30 minutes. So think about it. It's not 100%, nothing is, but as one more layer of protection, if people are going to keep their distance and potentially wear masks from time to time, building owners are changing filters to a more restrictive filter at times, and also building owners are having more air changes. But using the technology as one more layer of defense, having these ions scrub the air, just brings this additional layer of protection for the people going back to work, back to school, back to sports, and then now companies are starting to promote this, so that it does bring additional clarity that the workplace is actually healthier and with this layer of protection even safer.
Yeah. You mentioned something a little bit earlier about outside air. With an Atmos Air system, do you have the ability to reduce the amount of outside air needed in the building?
So yeah, an interesting advantage to the bipolar ionization technology is ASHRAE has an exception in their code, which is called the IAQ procedure 62.1, which says if you have an air cleaning strategy where you're actually measuring and monitoring the contaminants of concern, you can actually reduce the amount of outside air you bring in because you are recirculating clean air. And as long as you measure and monitor those results, you can actually reduce the amount of outside air you bring in by, as much as 50%, in some cases even more. So what that does is if you don't have to bring in as much outside air, there's lesser air to heat, there's less air to cool, and you have a real energy saving component, as well as maybe you don't have to use as restrictive of a filter. Maybe you don't have to change your filters as often because the facility is cleaner. So at the end of the day, we've seen a real positive impact on retrofitting systems to save energy. Again, during the virus times, we haven't been focusing on reducing outside air, but we've been doing this 18 years. So we have many facilities that have reduced outside air and recycled cleaner air for energy savings. And we do a lot of work with architects and engineers because they actually plan to install these systems to save on first cost. Because if you don't have to bring in as much outside air and you can design around that, then your tonnages become less. Your duct sizes become less, your fans become less. and then you start to get a first cost savings when you're building a project using this technology. So, I know everything's about indoor air quality right now, but, pre-COVID, sustainability, energy savings, cost savings were all very important. And if you combine this technology, you really get both benefits, right? You get the energy saving benefit, the nice cost payback, and a clean, healthy building, a cleaner, healthier building at the same time.
My next question is, so I guess I'm thinking in terms of, let's say you're maybe an orthodontist or a dentist or something. You don't necessarily own the building. Do you have portable units, or is this all stuff that has to be installed in duct?
So yes, we have different systems to serve, different properties, different sectors. Obviously, we're doing schools and sports and office buildings and casinos and dental offices, medical offices, hospitals and such, and even residential. But so there's, with central systems, if you install the system within a central system, it really becomes a well-balanced process that can go out through. If it's just a tenant space and you just want to serve that tenant space, and you put it up in the duct system, that'll serve that space without necessarily serving the whole building. But if there isn't a central air system, like I'm in the Northeast, and not everyone has central air here. And so we have these portable systems that can cover up to 1,000, 1,500 square feet on the larger side, or 400 square feet on the smaller side, and have the same technology built into a portable unit that has a fan in it and has the bipolar ionization tube in it as well. So we can actually serve both purposes.
Great. Yeah. So you've got the full range. I mean, portable all the way up to serving a stadium. And then didn't you recently, I always see some big names you guys signed on. Wasn't there a cruise line or something you guys just partnered with, or?
We actually did. Yeah. So we actually did the Virgin cruise ships. This is Richard Branson's Virgin company, and Virgin Voyages have 4 cruise ships, and we've done the first couple of them so far. We're going to be doing the others, and then we also just partnered with Norwegian Cruise Line. They wanted to pilot the system in 2 of their cruise ships, and after we did the pilot, they said, we want this technology throughout every one of our cruise ships. And so I think they have 28 of them.
Oh, wow.
We finished that installation just a couple months ago. So it was, get all those ships done within the first 4 months, because now they've actually been told by CDC that they can get back to sailing and get back to cruising. And so, and using this technology as an additional layer of protection, other cruise ships are following right now. We just did a big cruise ship line in Greece. And so it's, you're going to start seeing this technology in planes and trains and automobiles, buses. We have this technology in many different verticals. So yeah, I think it's the technology is proactive. Most technologies, whether they be filters or UV lights or electronic air cleaners, they're on the return side of the air. So they're more passive in nature. This technology is on the supply side, so it's more active, supplying ions to the space. So when you combine the two, it really makes filters a lot more effective at being able to capture particles and attacking the contaminants in the space that you really want to get to.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, between you've got a good ROI calculation for reducing indoor air. There's obviously great calculations and a case to be made for what you had mentioned about new construction, as well as the massive amount of benefits to people in the occupied space. Steve, I want to thank you for being on. And where can people go to find out more information about Atmos Air?
So our website, AtmosAir.com, reach out anytime. We have a tremendous amount of reps, manufacturers, reps, and dealers all over the United States and now into Europe and into the UAE and into Asia as well. So we're able to really serve globally. In fact, we're doing a number of international clientele where they want us to do their entire portfolio, and with reps around the country, really around the world, it's made it a lot easier to be able to service our clients and deliver the performance that they expect.
That's great. And then I would add, if you are looking for information in Missouri or Oklahoma, also visit MidwestMachinery.net, as Midwest Machinery is also one of the reps in the Midwest.
And one of our best reps, by the way.
Thanks. So Steve, thanks again, and look forward to your continued success and changing the air one building at a time throughout the world. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
It's all about helping people, right? So
that's right.
If that's our goal and objective, if we can create cleaner, healthier spaces for people, it's going to help in this whole process of getting everybody back to some type of normalcy. And so that's our goal and objective. And Brian, thanks for having us on today. Truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Engineering Tomorrow. If you liked the show, please take a moment to subscribe on iTunes or Spotify. For even more great engineering or construction knowledge, visit engineeringtomorrow.blog.